Have you ever wondered why some seniors seem to command respect effortlessly, while others struggle to gain the admiration and esteem of those around them? Not because of anything dramatic they said or did, but because of small habits that slowly chipped away at the foundation of respect you'd built over years. As we journey into our wisdom years, we often don't realize that certain behaviors we've developed can silently erode the respect others have for us, even from those who love us most. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus once noted, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In our senior years, how we react to life's changes speaks volumes about the wisdom we've truly accumulated. I'm Vernon, and today we're exploring a delicate but crucial topic: those habits that can cause others to quietly lose respect for us as we age. The journey of aging is a profound one. With each passing year, we gain perspectives that our younger selves could hardly imagine. Yet sometimes, the very behaviors we think demonstrate our experience can actually undermine how others perceive our wisdom. What you'll discover today might challenge some long-held patterns, especially when reach habit number 3 we'll discuss, which completely transformed how I approach conversations with my own adult children. I invite you to approach this discussion not as criticism, but as an opportunity for reflection. After all, as Socrates wisely taught us, the unexamined life is not worth living. Stay with me through this entire journey. The insights near the end may be the most valuable for preserving the dignity and respect we've earned throughout our lives. Before we continue, take a moment to subscribe the channel and tap the notification bell for more reflections on navigating our senior years with grace and purpose. So, let's take a thoughtful look at 4 everyday habits that often without us realizing can quietly cause others to lose respect for us as we grow older. Habit number 1. Rigid thinking and resistance to change. Begin with what I call the ossification of thought, when our thinking becomes rigid and calcified, resistant to new ideas and perspectives. As Heraclitus, the pre-Socratic Greek philosopher, observed over 2,500 years ago, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he's not the same man." Change is the only constant in our universe, yet many of us become more resistant to it as we age. Dr. Carol Dweck of Stanford University calls this the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Her research shows that those who maintain a growth mindset, a willingness to learn and adapt, experience greater fulfillment and maintain stronger relationships throughout life. I witnessed this firsthand with 2 friends who retired around the same time. Margaret, a former school principal, approached retirement as yet another learning adventure. When her grandchildren introduced her to new technologies, she embraced them with curiosity rather than dismissal. She asked questions, made mistakes, laughed at herself, and gradually became quite proficient. In contrast, my friend Robert, a brilliant engineer, began every new suggestion with, "That's not how we've always done it," or, "In my day, we managed just fine without that." Within 3 years, his grandchildren stopped sharing their lives with him. His social circle shrank, and I could see the quiet disappointment in his daughter's eyes when he would dismiss her ideas without consideration. Respect isn't earned by clinging to what we know. It's deepened by the courage to question what we've always believed. It's not about abandoning our principles, but recognizing when a long-held view may no longer serve us or those we love. This doesn't mean abandoning your principles or core values. Instead, it's about distinguishing between unchanging ethical truths and evolving cultural and technological realities. As Aristotle taught, virtue lies in the balance, see the golden mean, between stubborn inflexibility and rootless drift. So, how can you stay flexible in thought? One simple practice. When someone shares an idea that contradicts yours, respond with, "That's interesting. Tell me more about why you see it that way." This doesn't require agreement, it simply invites dialogue. You might also try this. Once a month, learn something that feels unfamiliar or even slightly uncomfortable, a new app, a genre of music, a younger person's perspective. Let discomfort be a teacher, not a threat. Ask yourself honestly, is there an area in your life where you've grown unyielding, not out of principle, but simply out of habit? Share in the comments below one area where you've learned to adapt your thinking in recent years. Your experience might inspire someone else in our community to embrace positive change. Habit number 2. Overstepping personal boundaries. The Roman philosopher Seneca noted that the greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. When we overstep boundaries with unsolicited advice, we're often living in expectancy, trying to control outcomes rather than respecting others' journeys. Another quiet habit that gradually erodes the respect of even those closest to us, especially adult children, is unintentionally overstepping their personal boundaries. There's a beautiful paradox in the later stages of life. We have accumulated decades of experience that could help others avoid mistakes. Yet the more forcefully we try to impose this wisdom, the more likely it is to be rejected. Elizabeth, a woman in my community group, couldn't understand why her relationship with her daughter grew increasingly strained after her daughter's marriage. During one of our discussions, Elizabeth revealed that she had been reorganizing her daughter's kitchen each time she visited because she never got the organizational system right. She was also freely offering marital advice based on her 40-year marriage. What Elizabeth couldn't see was that each helpful suggestion communicated a subtle message. She doesn't trust her daughter to manage her own life. The respect between them deteriorated not because Elizabeth lacked wisdom, but because she delivered it in ways that undermined her daughter's autonomy. I faced a similar awakening 5 years ago. My son had started a small business, and I found myself offering advice at every turn. One day, he gently but firmly said he knows I want to help, but he needs to make these discoveries himself, even if that means making mistakes. That moment transformed our relationship. I realized that respecting his journey was more important than preventing every possible misstep. Harvard psychologist Robert Kegan identifies this as part of adult development, moving from seeing others as extensions of ourselves to recognizing them as separate individuals with their own legitimate perspectives. This shift becomes even more crucial in our senior years. Personal boundaries aren't walls. They're sacred spaces where respect can flourish. When we honor these boundaries, we communicate profound trust in others' capabilities. So, before offering advice, try asking, "Would you like my thoughts on this?" If the answer is no, respect that completely. And if the answer is yes, begin with curiosity. What have you been considering so far? This makes your advice a response, not an imposition. The philosopher Martin Buber spoke of I-thou relationships, where we relate to others as subjects with their own inner worlds rather than objects to be directed. This stance naturally creates the mutual respect that many seniors find eroding as they age. Consider, where might you be overstepping boundaries with those you love? Is there a relationship in your life that could benefit from more listening and less directing? Taking a step back might feel counterintuitive, but often creates space for respect to regrow. But sometimes, it's not just boundaries we overstep, it's benchmarks. That brings us to the third habit that can quietly push others away: constant comparison. Habit number 3. The constant comparison trap. My neighbor, Thomas, a retired professor, would often tell stories of his academic achievements and how standards had declined since his day. Initially, people listened politely, but over time, I noticed fewer neighbors engaged with him at community events. His constant comparisons had created an invisible barrier. This is the very habit that quietly makes those around us feel uncomfortable and, over time, less respectful toward us. It also changed the way I speak to my children after turning 60, because I began to see how constant comparisons, whether to the past, to others, or to some ideal version of life, can slowly erode even the strongest bonds. The Greek Stoic Epictetus advised, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." Yet many of us fall into the trap of measuring today's reality against yesterday's memories or tomorrow's hopes, constantly finding the present lacking. This habit manifests in phrases that begin to grate on younger generations. "In my day," or "kids today don't understand," or "things were better when we consistently compare present circumstances unfavorably to the present past. We're not sharing wisdom, we're broadcasting discontentment. Research from Dr. Sonia Lubomirsky at the University of California shows that comparative thinking is one of the most reliable paths to diminished happiness. More importantly, when we constantly compare, we signal to others that we're unable to find value and meaning in the present momentarily, the wisdom that commands respect. I experienced this myself after retirement. I found myself repeatedly telling my grandchildren how much harder we had worked back then. One day, my 16-year-old granddaughter gently said that it sounds like I had it really tough. But different isn't always easier or harder, it's just different. Her wisdom stopped me cold. The present moment is where life actually happens. When we mentally reside too much in the past, we miss the opportunity to engage meaningfully with today's reality. This doesn't mean we shouldn't share our experiences or that all change represents progress. It means approaching the present with curiosity rather than immediate judgment. Psychologist Dr. Laura Carstensen of Stanford has found that emotional well-being actually improves with age for those who develop the ability to focus on the present. Her research on socio-emotional selectivity theory suggests that as our time horizon shortens, we have the opportunity to become more present-focused, which paradoxically leads to greater life satisfaction. To break this habit, try practicing what psychologists call appreciative inquiry, looking for what's working well in the present before offering critique. When you find yourself about to make a comparison to the past, pause and first identify something positive about the current situation. Looking back at the habits we've discussed so far, rigid thinking and boundary overstepping, we can see how they often work together with this comparison trap. When we rigidly compare everything to our idealized past, we're more likely to overstep boundaries by trying to correct the present. Breaking one habit often helps address the others. I invite you to reflect. How often do your conversations include comparisons to how things used to be? Could focusing more on the unique opportunities of the present moment create more meaningful connections? When a message touches something true in us, it deserves to travel farther. Click the share button and let this wisdom ripple into someone else's life. Sometimes, all it takes is a quiet reminder to change the course of a day. Habit number 4. Diminishing others' experiences. Our final habit, perhaps the most subtle yet equally damaging, involves diminishing the validity of others' experiences, particularly those of younger generations. Ethical responsibility begins in our openness to the otherness of the other, recognizing that someone else's experience is as real and valid to them as ours is to us, even when entirely different. When we respond to others' struggles with phrases like, "You think that's hard? Let me tell you about real difficulties," or "You'll get over it," we're not offering wisdom. We're invalidating their lived experience. A study from the Gerontologist Journal found that one of the most common complaints younger adults have about interactions with seniors is feeling that their experiences are consistently minimized or dismissed. This pattern creates emotional distance that prevents meaningful exchange across generations. My friend Catherine, a retired nurse with decades of valuable experience, struggled to understand why her granddaughter had gradually stopped opening up about college life. Eventually, she learned that whenever her granddaughter mentioned feeling overwhelmed by exams, Catherine would compare it to the much tougher challenges she'd faced during her nursing career. Though well-intentioned, these comparisons left her granddaughter feeling that her own struggles were being dismissed, as if her emotions didn't carry weight in the face of someone else's past hardships. I made a similar mistake with my grandson when he was devastated about not making the basketball team. I immediately launched into a story about a much bigger disappointment from my youth. My daughter later pointed out that I'd missed an opportunity to simply acknowledge his pain before rushing to put it in perspective. True wisdom isn't demonstrated by showing how much more we've suffered or accomplished. It's shown by creating space for others to process their own experiences while feeling seen and heard. The 13th century poet Rumi offered this insight. Beyond right and wrong, there is a field. I'll meet you there. That field is where respect flourishes, where we acknowledge the validity of experiences different from our own, without needing to rank or compare them. Psychologist Carl Rogers, known for developing person-centered therapy, found that 3 qualities create an environment where growth can occur: genuineness, acceptance, and empathy. When we practice these qualities, instead of diminishing others' experiences, we create relationships of mutual respect, rather than hierarchical authority. A simple practice? The next time someone shares a challenge, try responding first with, "That sounds difficult. Tell me more about what that's like for you." No comparison, no immediate solution, just presence and acknowledgement. This isn't about artificially elevating trivial concerns. It's about recognizing that the significance of an experience isn't measured by its objective severity, but by its impact on the person experiencing it. In recent conversations, have you found yourself minimizing others' experiences? Have you caught yourself thinking, they don't know what real problems are? These moments are opportunities to practice a different response, one that builds bridges rather than walls. Conclusion. As we draw our reflection to a close, let's remember that respect is not something we're entitled to simply because of our age. Rather, it's something we continually earn through how we engage with others and the world around us. The philosopher Cicero, in his essay on old age, wrote that old age will only be respected if it fights for itself, maintains its rights, avoids dependence on anyone, and asserts control over its own to the last breath, not through dominance or rigidity, but through continuing to grow and engage meaningfully with life. To maintain the respect we've earned throughout our lives, we must be willing to keep our thinking flexible and open to new possibilities, honor the personal boundaries of those around us, appreciate the present moment without constant comparison to the past, validate the experiences of others, especially younger generations. These practices aren't always easy. They require humility and a willingness to continuously evolve, the very qualities that inspire genuine respect. As we age, our true legacy isn't found in being right or maintaining control. It's found in the quality of our relationships and the wisdom we embody through our actions. Each interaction gives us the opportunity to choose responses that build respect rather than diminish it. I'd like to leave you with a question for deep reflection. Which of these 4 habits resonated most strongly with you? Where might you have an opportunity to shift a pattern that no longer serves your highest purpose? Leave a comment with respect gained if one of these habits sparks something in you today. If you found value in today's insights, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. for more conversations celebrating timeless wisdom into old age. I hope you'll join me again as we continue uncovering life's deeper wisdom in the next episode. Looking to deepen the respect between you and your children as you grow older? You'll find 5 meaningful insights in the video, Why Children Stop Respecting Aging Parents, 5 Healing Ways to Reconnect After 60, linked in the description for your convenience. Remember, the journey of wisdom is never complete. Even in our senior years, we continue to grow, learn, and refine our approach to life. That ongoing evolution is perhaps the most profound demonstration of wisdom and the surest path to lasting respect. Until next time, may your journey be filled with grace and purpose.